Thank you for coming and being a part of this conversation today. I hope I can make it worth your while. So what I want to share with you today is a place where we're all connected. We're all connected to the point of wanting a better life. Different ways we want a better life, but we all have this thing where we seek something more. That's part of the human experience, and we don't escape it. It's part of who we are. So wanting more money in our lives, wanting more comforts, wanting more gadgets, it's all part of life. It's a good thing, and I commend you on being a part of that experience. The thing that sometimes we forget, though, comes from the way we grew up, what we were taught growing up, that we could have all those things if we focused, if we paid attention, if we did our part, if we got the good grades, if we listened to our parents and our teachers and everybody else and did what they said, that it would all work out great for us, right? That's kind of what we were told. So I'm sure that has some value, but I want you to know that that's not all you need to do. One thing that we all have to do to be part of that experience of getting the things in life that we want is to be able to ask for what we want, to communicate what we want, to know who we are, and to live in that world in interactions with other people. Nobody gets to do this alone. One of my favorite lines has always been that if we were supposed to be alone doing it by ourselves, we'd all have our own planets. But it doesn't work that way. The way it works is that we are constantly in interactions. And you could take it so far to say is that we need one another. We need, and not just the people that are closest to us, we need everybody. Everybody plays a role in this thing called life on planet Earth. So if we're going to get where we want to go, it's really important for us to know how to do that with others. I want to give you an example, just a really simple, basic example of how I can demonstrate that something requires a lot of different people to be in the act. There it is. Anybody recognize that? It's called a number 2 pencil. It's got wood and graphite and an eraser on the end. How many people do you think it took to create this pencil? Lots. A few hundred? Maybe 1,000, 2,000? How about millions of people? It took millions of people. Now, this isn't something you see every day, a wooden pencil. Unless, of course, you work in a grade school. There are lots of them there. But this little thing was created. Let me give you some of the pieces of what it took to make this pencil. First of all, the wood is cedar. The wood is collected and harvested from forests in California and Oregon. And it's obviously cut to size. It's bored out so that the graphite material can be in the middle so that it'll work as a pencil. The graphite, it's not just graphite. There's also zinc in there and some other chemicals and things that make the composition that we actually use. The engineers are starting to give me a little nod to say I'm okay with this. I'm handling this. So the graphite material is mined mostly and collected and then created into that little piece that runs through the center of the pencil. Now, if you go to this side of the pencil, you've also got this metal piece that is wrapped around the pencil to hold the eraser in place. That is, in most cases, brass, which means it's a little bit of zinc, a little bit of copper, which all has to be mined, right? And then you've got this piece on the end that we all think is rubber. We grew up being told this was rubber. It's not. There's actually a little bit of rubber in it, but the rubber is the binding agent that holds it together. Most of it is actually made from grape seed oil extract. It receives 8 coats of lacquer before it's complete. And then they punch the name on it, number 2. Not just did it take people to come up with the wood and the graphite center and the materials for this band and for the eraser. Not only those, but all of the things that were required to be designed and constructed and manufactured so that those could be made, so that the trees could be cut, so that the mines could be dug. It goes on and on and on. Millions of people. had to be completely working together in alignment over time for this to work. And this is useless today because I don't have a pencil sharpener. How many people does it take to make a pencil sharpener? And look at the very narrow focus that I'm on, and still we're talking about millions of people. Millions of people that required to make this. From the forests and the mines and the chemical labs and the manufacturing plants and the trucks and the ships that had to haul all that stuff so that I could stand here with this pencil. Isn't that amazing? This is how our lives work. We are intertwined with one another. The activities that you do that bring value to the world are compensated, often by some kind of monetary compensation. And then you go to the store and you buy all kinds of products from all kinds of places around the world. And that's how your life works. And without all of those people doing all of those things, life would be pretty rough. And we don't have that. We have the luxury of having a wonderful lifestyle in an amazing place to do all the things that we do. But to do that, we absolutely require one another. Not just that we require one another, but if we want to get to where we want to get to in our lives, it requires three important things that we do. We must be able to communicate. We must be able to cooperate. And we must be able to collaborate with one another. These are the ways we get things done. The old adage that you do it on your own is gone. It doesn't work. We're in this together. And we require one another to do it. And we require having that level of interaction to do many of the things that we do in our lives. So I'm bringing this all up because I want to talk to you about this key element that I find in these interactions that most people were never taught, but has made an incredible difference in my life and how I use it and how I see other people using it. So I want to share it with you today. It's called agreements. Simple little word. Most people think that that's a document, that everything's written down by two parties, and the party of the first part and party of the second part all get together and they create this document and they all sign it and have it notarized and we're done. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the idea of having a communication that is clear, where the thing that you want can get done because of that clear communication. And the best way I know to explain this to you starts without knowing exactly where we're going to go with what we don't know yet. And what I mean by that is, I'll say that again so you get it. I want you to understand that agreements are used by communicating what's important to us in a way that people can hear. Most of what we say is not communicated well. Sort of like that sentence I said a moment ago. Most of what we say goes right past people and they don't get it. Even when it's important to us. How can that be? Let me give you one of the most lovely examples that I know. You want Billy to go clean his room. What do you say? Billy, go clean your room. What does Billy say? He says, okay. Here's the deal. About an hour later, you go and check Billy's room. It hasn't been touched. Billy hasn't even been back in there. Is Billy bad? Did he lie to you? Is he somehow wrong in the way he's doing this? Well, it would seem, but that's not the truth. That's not the highest understanding here. The greater understanding is that clearly your communication never really got to Billy. Because what was Billy doing? Well, he was watching TV or playing a game or doing something that he really liked to do. Does Billy like to clean his room? Absolutely not. He's perfectly fine with the way it is. He can find anything he needs in there. So why did he say okay? What he said okay was that you want him to clean his room. Okay, I get it. You want me to clean my room. I get it. Now, he didn't use all those words. He just said okay. And you were left with the idea from him that he was going to do it. But that was never the case. There was nothing going on in Billy's mind that said, I'm going to go clean my room. Kind of misses, doesn't it? Now, it's not just about Billy. This is about all of the circumstances of our lives. You see, every one of us has a separate reality. Most of us were probably taught that there's only one reality, that you get it from one place somehow, and that's just not the case. Each one of us has a whole collection of perceptions about how life works, and we base everything we do on that. And none of us, the same way none of us have the same fingerprint or irises, none of us have the same consciousness. We all have our own collection of understandings that we base our life on. So when somebody else does something and we think, that's just wrong, that's bad, that shouldn't happen, they're an awful person. They're actually not. Because from where they stand, everything that they're doing makes absolute sense. And you can take this to the extremes, but that's not where I'm going right now, because we live in a civil society where most of us get along pretty well. We're just not communicating well. And this is our opportunity to up that. How do we do it? Back to agreements. With our agreements, we actually create a way for people to share a reality. What I was taught is that you have a reality and I have a reality. If we're going to have a conversation about something we differ on, I'm going to listen intently. I can learn from you. Does that mean I'm going to embrace your reality? Not at all. I may think that's great. I'm going to just make that part of what I think the world is, whatever the conversation might be. Or I might say, well, you know what? This strengthens my resolve that the way I see it works for me. I'm done. Either way is fine. Either way works. But the idea that we have the same reality is a lost notion. It's not there. So our job is to transcend that with our clear communications, and we can use agreements to do that. So I want to give you an example. We'll go back to Billy, and I'll take that. Billy's done doing what he was doing. Now he wants to play his drum, okay? It's first thing in the morning. You're trying to get down some kind of a caffeinated drink and check and see what the posts are on Facebook, right? And this is not working. What do you say? Billy, stop the drumming! How do you think that's going to work? Because Billy's enjoying drumming. How's that going to work? In about 5 minutes in the background, you hear this. Right? Of course, because Billy wants to do what Billy wants to do like all of us do. There's no different. So how do you approach Billy with this in a way that gets the result that you're looking for? You say, Billy, you get his attention. Billy, Billy, Billy. And you look in his eyes because he's a real person. And you want to communicate with him. I know you love to play your drum. Acknowledgement. You're acknowledging that he's doing something that he really enjoys. That's a good thing. That creates a connection. And then you explain, I really want a few minutes to drink my coffee and to check out online and see what's going on. And I can't do that while the drum is here. So, Billy, would you be willing to take the drum outside to play? Or give me about an hour to do what I need to do before you play the drum. Would that be okay? Can you do that? And Billy goes, same answer. Okay. Different result. Why? Because you have an agreement. Because Billy and you were in a state of communication this time. He understood why it was important to you. He understands the game, the connection, what's going on. And he won't play the drum for the hour. Agreements seem so simple, but they're truly sacred trusts. They are two people saying that they will do their part on either side of an agreement. And it really does work because we are actually high-functioning species, human beings are. And given the opportunity, we'll come through more than we'll fail. If we give people enough information, information is what people require to be aligned with where we're trying to go. That's what the difference is. So Billy's not playing the drum. And I want you to know this is not a bit about manipulation. This isn't that you're trying to control someone. For God's sakes, Billy is 48. And this applies to everyone in your life. Everyone in your life, there are people that you require some support from, either to bring something into your life or to take something out. Whatever it is, you do it by agreement. Rather than just knowing what you want, which seems to many to be enough, because I know why it's important, but to share that with someone else as you're asking them to commit to the same outcome that you are asking for. What also works is for the person to say no. You know, we can't just expect them to do it. This is not a manipulation process. This is an enrollment process. So if they say no, negotiations continue. Well, what can we do? And you continue that conversation until you get to a place where both of you are pleased. Again, this is not a legally defined idea. It's about how we live our lives. And if we would simply say, is it okay? You'll find out if it's okay. I remember when my stepson was growing up. He was not crazy about coming to Asheville, North Carolina, where I live, to be with my wife and I, with Barbara and I. He much preferred Florida, so he had an attitude for a while. And there were times when it really wasn't easy. And he was struggling with it. And I used this idea of agreements, which worked amazingly well. And we did have an impasse at one point. We had a thing where he would leave out dirty dishes every night. And I didn't want to wash his dishes. And the place where the dishes were was right next to my office. So I asked him several times if he would do that. And he said that he would, and he didn't. Okay, he was learning how to make this work. And I said, okay, here's what I'm willing to do. If there are dirty dishes when I get to my office in the morning, if I look and see that these dirty dishes there, I'll take care of them. And I'll take them away. And you can use whatever's left. It took 2 days for him to get that I said what I meant. And once he understood, he washed his dishes every single day. No problem. No problem. It didn't require any hostility. It didn't require anger. It didn't require upset or confusion or anything else. All it required was clarity. And sometimes the agreement comes at a point of action as much as at a point of language. Only about 55% of what we say is ever heard by anyone. Mostly people are focusing on what we're doing and how we're acting. That's why I have told many of my colleagues that this isn't about being a good speaker. It's about being honest with who you are and how you live your life and being real. It's that genuineness that people respond to, and they can feel it and they can know it. So we're not manipulating. We're not trying to get something for free. We're willing to do our part. In fact, the last piece of this puzzle that you must understand is that if you do not keep your agreements, how could you ever expect anyone to keep one for you? Little agreements. I said I would get you this. I said I would do that. Whatever the task is, take it as a sacred trust. My Native American teacher taught me that the state of being that we seek is impeccability. To be impeccable. Not only with our word, and not only with our actions. Most people think impeccability relates to having an impeccable word, meaning that what you say you do, and that's certainly part of it, but there's another piece of it. Impeccability is when your words and your actions and your thoughts all line up as the same. Then you don't have to remember what you said or what you didn't do. If you're focused on your thoughts, your words, and your actions being in perfect alignment, then you are living an impeccable life. Do I live an impeccable life? Absolutely not. I screw up frequently. But that's okay, because I know where I want to go. And I can correct those missteps when I do them. And so can you. So as you're doing what is yours to do in the world, interacting with the people that you want to interact with, I strongly encourage you to create agreements. To create those agreements and see them as sacred trusts so that what you agree to, you do, and what others agree to with you, they do. And by doing that, we'll make things a whole lot cooler than pencils. We'll create lives that are extraordinary and powerful and meaningful, because that's what we're here to do. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. So welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Asheville. If there's anyone here for the very first time, do you want to reveal yourself and let our welcomers see who you are? They've got a gift for you. They've got a card for you. Who's here for the first time? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sylvia brought a friend. What's your name?
John.
John, welcome, John. I'm so glad you're here. Who else is here for the first time? The person that's very close to the door for a quick exit. What's your name? Brenda. Welcome, Brenda. I'm glad you're here. Who else? I love this center, and usually we have a different background. Thank you, Chuck Camper, for doing this. This is for John's website. He's doing some videotaping for his public speaking career, so thank you for indulging us in that today. But I love coming to this center because when you come to this center, your life changes. Changes for the better. You have more money, you have better relationships, you are happier, you are healthier, and things work out better. So I'm delighted that you chose to come. If you would like to hear more about the center, you can fill out that little card with your name and address. We have a great e-news program, so if you just want to get the email, check email only, and we'll send you an email and let you know the fantastic things that are happening. I love you all. It's good to be home. Now, take out what you're going to give, and I'd like to invite our prosperity acceptors to come forward. For those of you watching online, you too can participate in supporting this amazing work that goes out to thousands and thousands and thousands of people every month. And you can be a part of that by clicking the donate button on your YouTube page. It'll take you right to our PayPal account. Whatever you give, we are very grateful for that gift. And those of you in the room, thank you for the generous way in which you support this center. I know that people give through the auto giving. They have their banks send checks in. They're flashing the PayPal account right as you sit here. There's the donation station in the social hall. Thank you for all the ways you give to this center. We're doing great. And so whatever it is you're giving, take it and put it in your hand. I like to cover it with the other hand, and for me, very gently bring it to my heart. And in that, I know that God is the source of all supply, all experience, all life, all love. And that money is the action and flow of God in our lives. I know that each of us is blessed. We live the rich life right here and right now. We always have more than enough to do whatever it is we choose to do. And that which we give out into the world blesses the entire planet. So I know that each one of us comes together this day to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And we'll repeat our investment affirmation together aloud. I freely and joyously give from the abundance and fullness of my overflowing wealth, knowing my gift goes with love as it blesses and blesses the world. And so it is.